All right, so we're excited to have Greg McCluskey here with us today, and thanks, Greg. Appreciate you being on.
Excellent. Thanks for having me on today, Nate.
Yeah, we full disclosure, we've done this once already, and I had some technical difficulties recording this thing, and it didn't work out. So we're doing it again. Second time's the charm, I think, is what they say. So yeah, so thanks for being here, and I like to start out oftentimes, talking about championship leadership. That's the name of the podcast. And what do you think of when you think of that? What comes to mind when you hear championship leadership?
I mean, whenever I hear championship leadership, I think of Bill Belichick, and I think about how he gets everybody under his charge to do their job and to buy in. And then I think about Tom Brady, who takes less salary every year so that they can make the team better and get better players. And you're the best football player in the world, and you're like not even in the top 20 paid football players in the NFL. That's by design. That's what leaders do. Leaders share, and Tom's a great follower. So to me, leadership is following. He follows Belichick, and they stay on a game plan together, and they work stuff out. They say the right things in public. They keep things that should be private. I mean, they're just phenomenal leaders.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible when you think about the Patriots and the run that they've had. And then like what you said with Tom Brady being, he the best quarterback in the world, and the pay structure that they have. Obviously, he's gotten his money definitely along the way, but yeah, the pay structure that they have to set them up for success. And then, I mean, how they, it really comes down to like everything that they do, right? It's just like nothing is by chance. It's all calculated. And also, at the end of the day, he is an incredible follower, and there's not a lot of other quarterbacks that caliber that have really been able to do that. So that is, that's a prime example. And I'm starting to think of Boston when I think of championship leadership as Boston, and just with I saw a post you made, I think, on Facebook with, all the championships that the city of Boston has had with all the professional teams since 2001. And it's pretty incredible time to be a sports fan in Boston. That's for sure. So.
Well, and the other teams back in 2004, the Red Sox actually started duplicating what the Patriots were doing, and Celtics have done the same. It's actually an open secret, and it comes down to one man that people forget about, Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. I mean, he has created and allowed the field of play to be such that Belichick and Brady can win, and he's in the background. He's the owner of the team. He's the actual leader of the leaders. And when you look at the Celtics, you got Danny Ainge, and then you got Brad Stevens, who they're calling the best coach in the NBA behind Popovich, and he's young. And then you go over to the Red Sox. I mean, John Farrell couldn't win with the same roster. Got swept. They bring in Alex Cora, who won the World Series with the Houston Astros last year. And it's no accident that this guy comes in, takes the same roster, and gets the most wins in Red Sox history. The players love him, and he's got another World Series back-to-back. So, success breeds success. And Dave Roberts, the manager of the LA Dodgers, won a World Series with the Red Sox. There's no accidents. Leaders breed leaders, and winners come from winning, period.
Yeah, that's, you think about coaching, right? I think a lot of people discredit coaching in the professional level. You'll hear comments from time to time that, coaching doesn't matter maybe necessarily as much in the pro level as it does in the college and high school levels. And from what I hear you saying, that's not really true. That's not really the case. And I would tend to agree with you on that one.
Yeah, well, I actually heard a quote this morning. I was watching something and don't know who said it, but teachers and coaches are the bedrock of society, and it's how we transfer skill. from generation to generation. And so people who say those who teach can't do, that's the most ignorant statement the world's ever heard. The reality is, without teaching, coaching, and mentorship, there's no transfer of leadership, skills, opportunity, ability. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's professors, and especially in the college level, I think have often gotten that rap of they're teaching in the college level because they can't do it themselves in the real world. And I would say that probably most likely a large number of those have oftentimes truly have been out there and have done it at one point in time in their life as well. And that's teaching and coaching, if you really think of it. I mean, that is the bedrock, the foundation of our society and our culture. And they do get a bad rap more times than not. But what for you? What do you think? What for you are the biggest 2 or 3 characteristics when you think of leadership? Maybe that's for you personally, or that you've learned along the way.
Yeah, for me, one is humility. I believe humility is power, and I believe the great leaders, they have a sense of humility about them. That's number one. I think, number 2, I find leaders to be very good at listening. They hear everything, and they hear what's going on, and they make decisions based on that. Those 2 qualities right there, if you can be humble and listen and move your ego to the side, you can be a great leader. And you need enough ego to believe in yourself to be a leader, but it's like anything else in life, a little bit too much and you pass a line. The last part is, for me, it's giving. I just read an article about that givers are 2 places on the food chain. They're at the top and they're at the bottom. And if you're a giver, you got to be really careful not to be taken advantage of. But the greatest leaders that we know out there are massive givers. I mean, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, givers. Nelson Mandela. These are people who put it all on the line to help other people, to serve other people, and they have ultimately ended up at the top. But I think being a giver is huge, like serving other people, making a difference in their lives. The best message I got a text from one of my clients this week that just said, and he put it in my coaching mastermind group and said, the greatest thing about you, Greg, is you love us, you'll do anything for us, and you could care less about the money. The money's like the last thing on your mind. And that is probably the best compliment I've ever got as a leader. And I don't put that out there to toot my own horn. That's where the real stuff makes a difference. That's where life changes and you help other people and you're making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. And thank you for sharing. That's a powerful testament to you as a leader and to what you do. And that is an ultimate, testament to a leader too, right? Of someone that really truly cares and isn't necessarily just worried about himself or herself and the bank account and the dollars or the recognition or whatever it might be, right? That you could get with the title or the position of being the leader. All of that stuff comes if you excel and if you're a championship leader, like that stuff's going to happen just because of it as a byproduct. But the really being there for the right reasons of caring about, whatever it is. In your case, it's your clients and helping them inside of real estate. And Bill Belichick's, it's winning championships. And then I had the thought as you were talking about that, some people are givers to the point where, oftentimes there's a sacrifice of other areas of their life, right? They're such a great championship leader. And your NFL coaches, I think, are historically or predominantly, in that category of, because they're just, it's all about the season, the team, the football, and a lot of times the family or their health even. There's a lot of out of shape unhealthy coach
Football.
out there. You know,
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy, every time I see him, that's what I think. I'm like, he's a heck of a coach, but he's like, he's not the, he doesn't embody like health and fitness. And each year,
Belichick,
a little
Andy
worse.
Reid,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Bill Walsh, all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, at that level, it's kind of like Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. I mean, you know, you've heard the stories of how they burnt all the other areas of their life down because they're just consumed with being the best. And there's not a lot of time when you're at that level um, for other areas. Not to say that it can't be done, and not to say that there haven't been people that have been able to keep all of them together at the same time. But yeah, just a thought that I had as I was thinking about that and giving and how much of a sacrifice it really truly can be. So,
Well, I think a good example in the NFL ranks of a guy who balanced it all a lot better was Bill Cowher. He made a commitment to leave on the top and leave
yeah,
while he was still young and spend time with his daughters who all played college sports. And he's, you know, he was able to have a much better work family life balance and knew what he wanted. And knowing what you want is critical. I'm pretty sure Bill Belichick, anybody in a relationship with him, is like, hey, you just have to know where you're at in this
yeah, you
deal.
just know what you're getting, right?
But knowing what you want is part of leadership.
Yeah,
And you see that all the time. In balance, I think, is critical. You know, if that's what you want, if you want to have an amazing family life, you're not going to be Bill Belichick.
right.
You're not going to be Bill Parcells.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Listen, now you talked about listening as one of the other characteristics that you truly think about inside of being a championship leader. Yeah, talk more about that.
Listening, it's just really, to me, it's hearing what people are really saying. You know, a good example, I had a client this week. I was in Washington, D.C. coaching some clients and got a text that said, hey, you know, traffic can be really busy. Instead of meeting at 9, why don't we meet at 9:30? And we were meeting at her house, and one of the other clients was meeting us there. And I was reading the text like, no, I was thinking we can make it by 9, but I was listening to her say it, and I realized she was asking us to come at 9:30. And that's listening. So I shot a message and thought, hey, 9:30, either one works. I'll just see everybody there at 9:30, right? And one of the other clients, you know, when we got there, he's like, yeah, I felt like she didn't want us to come until 9:30. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. She needed another half an hour. And that's listening to me. Like, are you reading between the lines? Are you hearing what people are really saying? Are you really listening to what your kids need, what your spouse needs? Because what they say versus what they're actually wanting, if you're not listening with, you know, all the senses, you're going to miss stuff. And I think great leaders are really able to listen and know what people really want, regardless of the words they're using.
Yeah, that's powerful. And a lot of people aren't used to just being direct about what it is that they want, or just asking for what it is that they want. So more often than not, you're left to have to read between the lines sometimes, and it's powerful to have that skill, like you said, to be able to see that or hear what it is that they're actually saying. Or if you're not clear, then obviously you just ask, and to confirm and make sure that you're clear on what it is that they're asking or saying. So, but yeah, I love that. I've heard you say multiple times, everything that you've learned in life, you've learned from coaching. I don't know if you said
Girls soccer.
8 or 10-year-old girls soccer.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. And what you mean by that, and how has that really truly affected you inside of, let's say, even business?
Well, so I talk a lot about with the girls I coach in soccer, not to mistake good for great. And I have to talk to the parents a lot about it, because a girl will get down the field from a bad angle on the right side of a goal and shoot the ball and hit the post on the side, or hit the side netting, or hit the goalie standing at the post, and everybody will yell good shot. And I'm trying not to lose my mind because it was a terrible shot. And so, but I don't want to discredit their parents who yelled good shot, because as a leader, I can't discredit their parents. And you get put in a conundrum. So whenever I pull girls off, I said, don't mistake good for great. A great play would have been you slotting the ball back to the 6 for your teammate to put it in the goal. And the older you get and the better you get, the goalies are going to get better. You're not going to score from there. And even if you do, because there's a way to loop the ball over the goalie and under the bar to the backside netting, it's a shot girls will hit. And I always say, I hope you miss it every time, because you'll think it'll work every time.
Yeah, right.
I want you know, in other words, what I teach is, if you do the wrong thing and get a good result, that can hurt you. And if you do the right thing and get a bad result, I'm going to remind you did the right thing. And I see a lot of leaders and coaches only coach based on the result. You know, if the goal went in, it was good. If you missed, it was bad. And that teaches really poor technique, and it hurts them down the line. My daughter just came out of an interview with her college coach today. And she said, you have the highest soccer IQ of any girl on the team and any girl I've ever coached. And to me, that's leadership. That's what I want my kids to be known for. I had a girl years ago I coached go to a club her senior year that traveled all over the country. And the coach told her, when she's done with her college career, I want you to come back and coach for the club, because you have the highest IQ of any girl I've coached. And that's no accident. Leadership to me is coaching and helping people understand the difference between good and great. And one of the biggest thing I teach the girls is you have to know where the ball's going before it goes there. If you wait to go, once the ball's there, you're too late. You have to know where the ball's going and be there before it gets there. And that's life. And leaders know that. That's why they lead. They're able to direct and teach and push and help people get where they need to be before they even know they need to be there. And to me, that's leadership. And that's why I've always done that. You know, those videos on Facebook of, you know, everything I learned in business, I learned coaching 10-year-old girls soccer, because it all applies to business. And you win, you lose, and how you handle all that great leaders know how to handle that.
Yeah, I love it. That's, you know, it's well, there's a lot said there, right? But it's just a testament to, you know, in life, as we go through life, there's, you know, not only in girls soccer, but in just about everything that we do, right? From raising our kids to marriage to all areas, there's always carryover. And really, I guess what we're really saying is that a leader really never stops being a leader, no matter where they go, right?
Right. 100%.
Yeah, you know, just because you're a leader on the field, if it's inside of soccer, you don't necessarily turn that off. You know, a leader is leading. We're looking for opportunities to lead, and you know, whether that's from the front or whether that's from the back as a, you know, follower or a servant, and pushing and just being a great team player, depending on the environment. But a great leader, a championship level leader, you know, knows what role needs to be taken, and is willing to do that no matter what as well. Who are some of the great leaders that you could think of that have inside of your life, whether that, you know, whatever area of life that might have been, that have really helped shape you and who you are as inside of your life?
I mean, I've been really blessed in that department. I mean, my father was a great leader, and he made a huge difference in my life. He taught me to be entrepreneurial. He taught me that there's more in life than working for someone else. And he led our home, and he taught us right and wrong. And he pushed us really hard. And he used to teach me that you have more behind the 8 ball than I did. And I expect you to stand on my shoulders and do more in your life. And I do that with my kids. And my poor kids, like my dad didn't, you know, graduate college. He went to some classes. There was a bunch of things he didn't do that he wished he had done. So standing on his shoulders, yeah, but my kids, man, they where much is given, much is required. And, you know, I'm teaching them to stand on my shoulders and do more. And my goal is for the family legacy to keep leveling up, starting with my dad, who made the decision that things had to change and go to a different level. And then, you know, in college, I had the privilege, and, you know, people always laugh, but I met a gentleman. I was dating a girl for 4 years, and he was a diamond in the Amway company. And he started introducing me to books, how to win friends and influence people. and started making me read because he saw that I was in a serious relationship with his daughter, and he was seriously worried about my ability to, lead and do the right things in life. And so he took a lot of time with me and spending a lot of time teaching me. And then from there, I was mentored by a man named W. Rolf Kerr, who most people go, I've never heard of him. But if you read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, the time quadrant is a philosophy of his that he allowed Stephen R. Covey to use. He also developed the philosophy of having a mission statement for your life and your company and having a personal creed. And all those things came from Stephen R. Covey's book, and they're normal things in today's culture, but they have no idea that it's all credited to W. Rolf Kerr. For 2 years, I had the opportunity to be mentored by him and see how he led. And one of the most amazing people, like one time, I'll tell you a funny story, and this is a great leader. He calls me up and he says, Greg, I've got a guy that you're going to work with and he needs some tightening up. I mean, he needs some loosening up. He's really uptight, and he's so uptight, it's getting in the way of him being productive and successful. And I said, I got this, right? And he goes, and you can let him tighten you up a little bit. Because I'm not a rules person. I'm like a break the rules kind of person. And as a leader, he was putting us together to work on each other's weaknesses in a way that would be symbiotic. And that was the type of leader he was. And then the best thing he ever told me, which I thought was awesome, he goes, Greg, always be yourself. And I'm thinking, damn straight, I'll always be myself. And then he goes, but always be your better self. And he just had a way of getting you to level up and taking away your excuse, like, that's just how I am.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that is how you are, but you're capable of being that way and better.
Right.
And I've used that through my whole life to always be my better self. And so I've been really lucky. I mean, I've had 15 to 20 mentors in my life that were just incredible people. And some of them average. One of the guys who was a mentor in my life delivered newspapers for the Boston Globe. He drove around the big blue truck and put the big papers out for the paper boys. And he's done that for like 40 years.
Yeah.
And he was an incredible mentor. He taught me how to be a good person. Him and his wife had like 16 kids. They'd adopted like 10 Down syndrome kids.
Wow.
Like, that's a leader.
Yeah.
Like, if I ever saw one, he's just an incredible leader. And so I've been very blessed to just see, and I read a book called The Servant, and The Servant talks about 2 types of leaders. There's the power, and then there's the, you have I'm losing the word, but power and authority, right? You use power and authority. Like, you have the title, so you tell people what to do, or you can have influence. And people do it because you've influenced them and because of who you are and not because of the title you have. And, my basketball coach, he was a power guy, and we didn't get along too well. But the guy who delivered papers to the Boston Globe, massive influence in my life, made a massive difference in my life. And he had no title. He had no power. The only thing he had was influence and making a difference in your life so that you would actually go, okay, this is someone I should listen to. And those people are everywhere if you pay attention. And the really great leaders is when they have full power and they use influence instead. W. Rolf Kerr was he had full power over us, but he used influence instead. He never used that power, never wielded it.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's like to have the power yet, know how to use it and not, not let it get to your head and to not take advantage of that power and lead, from the right place. So that goes kind of back to what you're talking about, I think, too, a little bit earlier about, you just love working with the people that you work with, and you're all about helping them get what it is that they want inside of real estate, and to help them get what you said that you would help them get. There's too many people out there that are taking money from people and not giving them results, and then turning it back around on them and saying, well, hey, it's not my problem. And, it's just sickening, and I'm tired of it, and I see it too much. Tell me,
that's weak sauce right there when a coach blames
yeah,
the student. Like,
so weak. So
weak.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be thinking about, okay, this student's going through this, and this. How do I step in there and help them? But I'll tell you a story that I experienced. I was hired by a company years ago. They were 32 million company. They dropped back to like 10, $12 million company and struggling. People are canceling. It was a coaching company, did coaching. They were losing, 12, 14 clients a week, charging back on their credit cards, about to lose their merchant accounts. And they asked me to fix it. And I told them they should rename the company. I won't say the name of the company, but let's say the company was All-Star Mentoring. They wanted to rename the company. I told them they should rename the company to All-Star Sales because there's no mentoring going on here. And they hired me to fix it. We went from there to a $200 million company in 4 years. And it took me I worked 16 hours a day for 3 months. And then we went 8 months without a chargeback or a cancellation. And there was only one difference I figured out, and is the coaches would say this: well, they paid all this money, you'd think they'd show up to class. And I said, if I ever hear it again, you're gone. And there were 8 coaches, only one of them survived. I will say one of them left because she had better opportunities and she was doing a great job. But 6 of them I had to fire because they didn't get this principle. They paid all this money for you to coach them and help them get to class and find out what's getting in the way.
Yeah.
And we changed that one thing, and it was crazy. We still had people who didn't do what they're supposed to do, but they would wake up 6 months later mad at themselves, not at the company. And then they would call and say, hey, are you still willing to coach me? And our answer was, absolutely, let's do it. Let's get going. Whatever happened, it's under the bridge. You paid a lot of money. Let's figure out how to help you. And they knew we had called and called and called and reached out and reached out and reached out, and that we never quit on them. Massive difference for the company. They were Inc. magazine, and it was 2 years ago, they were number 43 fastest growing company in the United States. And I, to this day, believe that one cultural change made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, that's incredible. But to come back, tell me, I want to hear more about the guy in the blue truck that delivered papers. Such an influence on me.
His name was John Zeller.
John Zeller. I love it because I have like at least 2, like now that I really think about it, there's probably at least 3 people that I think of just off the top of my head that were, at certain points in my life were, I don't know, without hearing any stories yet, but similar to John Zeller, right? In my life, that just were mentors, leaders, definitely guided me and influenced me and took an interest in me for whatever reason, not even really sure why. They saw something I would imagine in me that that maybe they saw in themselves, or that they wanted to invest in me. And it sounds like maybe there was something like that with John. But yeah, tell me a story or 2 about him and how he really influenced you.
I mean, I got to my junior year and senior year in high school. Me and a couple of my best friends decided we were going to go to Florida for spring break, and we were going to drive down my buddy Hal's car, and 2 days, and that's from Massachusetts. So it's like a 21 hour trip. And 2 days before the trip, car broke down, and he heard about it, and he called us up and said, hey, I've got this station wagon I'm getting ready to sell. You guys can take it. And I love you guys. I want you to have a great trip. And we're like, what? So we're like, okay. So we go, he's not our dad. He wasn't any of our dads, right? We go over to his house, and he goes, oh, by the way, I bought a case of oil on me. It's in the back. It has an oil leak. You got to put a pint in probably every 4 or 5 hours, but you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it was a wood paneled station wagon.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And we took it down to Daytona Beach, drove it on the beach. I mean, one of the greatest trips of my life with 2 of my best friends.
Yeah.
And even more funny is coming back, one of my friends kind of was falling asleep at the wheel, and we got pulled over by the New Jersey Highway Patrol at 3 a.m. And the highway patrolman could not believe our story. Why would somebody let us take their car, not our dad? So they called him at 3 a.m. to verify that it was all true after searching our entire car. And we were clean. We were good kids. And he was actually a leader at our church. And, he worked with youth. And that's who he was as a man. Like, he'd do anything for anybody. It just who he was. And just a beloved guy. I mean, and I know the way he came about it in life is it was his wife's mom who adopted a lot of the kids, and then she fell in poor health, and then he stepped in and took all the kids in, and then they just kept on the legacy of her mom. And he was that guy. If there was a problem, he just stepped in and did it. It wasn't like he didn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, we had accepted our fate that we weren't going on our trip.
Yeah, right.
Nobody's going to give a couple of 17-year-olds a car to go to Daytona Beach.
Yeah, no doubt.
But what he did, though, for me, is he instilled trust, honor, respect. Like, man, this guy trusts me. This guy believes in me. This guy, like, there are people who believe I'm important and that I'm someone special, and they're willing to do stuff for me. And that amount of service will stay with you the rest of your life.
Yeah. And it has, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
When's the last time you talked to him?
It's probably been 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Maybe 6. I was in Massachusetts and I saw him at church. I went to church one Sunday and he was there. But it's been quite a while.
Yeah.
But he's living in the same house as the day I met him.
I bet. Yeah, that's incredible. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I think those that are listening, everyone probably automatically is thinking of someone similar to him in their life, right? That's come along and has been that way. Is just always constantly giving and it's cool. It gives us I don't know, hope, I guess you'd say, and for the future, that there's still people out there that do that and live that way. So let's talk real quick.
I will say this before we go on. When I think of him, so I always thought of him as this older guy, but he's older than I was now when he was doing these things for us.
Yeah.
And I think about how little time I have in life now and how much I have going on with my own kids. And I think about how many kids he had and that he showed up every single week on Wednesday nights to do an activity with us, what we called young men, to help us and serve us and make a difference in our life. And he never missed. And I'm like, I look at my own life and go, man, I don't know how I could show up on every Wednesday night for 4 or 5 years to hang out with a bunch of kids that aren't my own kids.
And he had 16.
Yeah, he had a bunch and special needs.
Oh,
I mean, it's just, and he was up at 4 a.m. every morning to deliver papers, right? He didn't have some job where, and then he'd be at the church till 10 o'clock at night with us. And then he had a 30-minute drive home from the church to his home. Like that's when I think back, I'm almost ashamed of my life when I think about him. That's the kind of leader he was.
It is. That is incredible. Yeah. Wow. Huh. Let's talk real quick before we finish off, kind of take this path with everyone that on the show here. As leaders, there's always an opportunity for us to I guess you'd say, go left instead of right. And it seems like the path to the left is one that most will take. And I think championship leaders are the others are the ones that would tend to go right when everybody else is going the other way. And not that it's good or bad, but just, what's that turning point in your life where things could be really a lot different for you had you not done that?
Basically when I delved into real estate investing, and I'm a real estate coach and own real estate and have all over the country, but I had the opportunity to work for Carlton Sheets, another one of my mentors of 1980s infomercial fame. very sincere, good man. I've met him many times. And Carlton gave me an opportunity to work for his company and learn about real estate. And before I got the job, my dad had ordered his course off of TV. And the night before, I thought, man, I should order this course. And I didn't listen to the voice. And then I was at my dad's house for dinner, and he's like, hey, look at this course thing that I just bought. It's going to come in the next couple of days. You want to read through it with me? And so we read through it together. And then by happenstance, I went to work for Carlton Sheets, like literally within 3 months. It was a crazy circumstance of events. And that ultimately, after 3 years of working for him, the moment of choice came when my business partner and I had just done 3 deals and flipped them. And we'd made like $84,000, $78,000, and $76,000 on the 3 deals, and put like $230-something thousand in our pocket. Some math person can add that up quick.
Yeah.
And we put it in the bank account, and we talked about launching our full-time business, and we were going to quit our jobs January 1st. Both our wives were pregnant, and we wanted to keep the insurance. So the goal was to keep that insurance till after the kids were born, and then we were going to be off on our own. And then I was on the phone with a lady who challenged me, and she said, well, if real estate's so great, why aren't you doing it? And I'm like, I am. I'm all excited. I'm like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I said, I just did 3 deals. And she's like, well, if you made that much money, why wouldn't you quit your job? And I'm like,
yeah.
and so I'm going through, and then she's like, I want proof. And so I go to a fax machine. This was a long time ago. And I faxed her copies of the 3 checks that I had tacked to my wall. And then we get back on the phone, and she's like, I don't believe you. I think you're lying. And she just kept going. And I had this moment in life where I had to make a choice. I just right then, thankful for that lady being so difficult, I said, you know what? You're right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hang up the phone, and I'm going to quit. I'm going to walk out the door. And when you call back, I'm not going to be here. And she goes, yeah, right. And I went click. And I had, because I planned on leaving, I had a little box that I could put everything in, put my headset in, stood up. By this time, because there were 90 people on this sales floor, everybody's looking at me out of their cubicles like, what? Because they could hear me, because it was a little bit elevated. And my business partner, Sione, stood up, and he goes, but we promised our wives. And I'm walking out going, what did I just do?
Yeah.
You know, my kid's mom, she's going to kill me. You know, Sione's going to kill me because he's still there.
Yeah.
And my mentor, I'd had this mentor for 3 years, was actually my boss. And we had an amazing relationship. And I'm like, he's going to kill me because I didn't even talk to him, right?
Yeah.
And so I walked out, and everybody told me that Harold came running around the corner about 15 minutes later going, where's McCluskey? Where is he? And they're like, he quit. And he stopped, and he was like, good for him. And he went back into his office.
That's awesome.
And then, you know, we had a long talk later, like 6 months later. I talked to him about it in detail, and he was like, you did the right thing. But that was a moment in my life where I just knew. And for 10 years, I didn't work for anybody else. My income went from 0 to 200,000 a month net. And I went from living in a condo to living in an 8,000 square foot home in a gated community. I had 25 of my own employees, and that was a left or right turn. And there was no safety net. There was 0 safety net.
That is awesome.
But we did it. And Sione quit 3 days later.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. Didn't take him long.
That's your Jerry Maguire moment for sure. That's incredible. I love it.
Yeah. No manifesto, but yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Yeah, that's it right there. Just having the courage and the faith to just be like, you know what? You know, thank that lady for, you should send her a Christmas card every year just to help you do the push that you guys were already going to make, right? But to just not wait any longer and go for it. And
well, it's a strange part of my personality. I was literally trying to motivate her. Like, that was the weird part. When I was walking out, I'm like, I was a little drastic to try to get her to like stop thinking the way she thinks.
Yeah. Right.
Because now I'm out the door.
Yeah.
like there might have been a better way to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you know, I mean, but I learned years and years later, and this is what you learn in leadership, that a lot of the people who work there, like it inspired them to eventually do their own thing, because having courage and standing up and walking away from, we're addicted to week to week paychecks. We're addicted to monthly income, and we set up our entire lifestyles on that. And to step out and be an entrepreneur and go into business with no weekly check, and it's sometimes, you know, you could go 3-4 months without making any money, and then you have 3 or 4 months when you make more money, you know what to do with. And that's hard for people to make that step, but that's the left turn versus the right turn.
Yeah.
And very few people make it.
No kidding. Yeah. And there's many that, sit years and years later and look back and talk about that moment and how they didn't, and what could have been. And so good for you for not being that person that lives with regret, right? It's like pain is temporary, regret is forever. And you got to take advantage of this life. There's no guarantees. Could be done today or tomorrow. And so you might as well live it the way you want.
Yeah. I know this, if I go out tomorrow, I just did this with my students. I go back and forth. Should I go to France in 3 weeks with Miley or not? We're going away in December. I have to go to San Diego this weekend. I just got back from DC. And then I'm like, man, if I was dying November 30th, would I be glad I went to France with Miley?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. So we're going. Like, I'll go, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right.
So you're right about regrets.
Yeah, that's great. Good for you. Well, this is a good spot to wrap it up. I think it's been awesome. So, tell the listeners just, you know, how can they get a hold of you if they want, you know, to find out more about what you're doing and what you got going on.
Yeah, so I'm a real estate coach. I work with people investing in real estate. I could teach you how to do real estate in 3 days, but it's going to take me a whole year to get your mindset right. So the name of my, you know, the website or, you know, to go to is www.breakawaymindset.com. And there's a video there that kind of tells you a little more about who I am and what I do. And then I invite everybody to add me on Facebook. I drop lots of content on Facebook about real estate and do lots of education there, and all my clients follow me on there. And so if you're looking to network with real estate investors who are doing it, because we don't play real estate, we actually do it. We don't just talk about it. And so there's a group of people there that can help you in your real estate investing.
Yeah, I would say, you know, if someone really wanted to, they could go to your Facebook and just all the content that you constantly drop, because I see it all the time. They could take that and go create a nice little
I have some videos on there. If that was the only video you watched, you could take that one technique and make money next week. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you give plenty, that's for sure. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much again for being on, and just thank you.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Nate.
Yep.